I'm a recovering state senator. I spent 15 years in the Illinois General Assembly, 10 of those years in the majority and 5 in the minority. I actually served with Barack Obama before he became the Barack Obama. I'm a smoker. He used to watch me go out to the smoking balcony and follow me out, so he owes me at least a carton of cigarettes. He always told his wife he didn't smoke, but I know different. I'm going to talk to you just a little bit. Since I left the General Assembly in 2007, I have worked with a couple of major associations out in Washington, D.C. on legislative education. When I was in the General Assembly, my biggest frustration was we made a lot of decisions with incomplete information and didn't really understand the effect of what we were doing. So when I got out of the legislature, I kind of made up a job and persuaded some people to hire me, and foolishly, they've continued to pay me. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience in talking to elected officials, not just legislators, but I think this applies to mayors and to city councilmen and county board chairmen and county board members. Elected officials are just people. For the most part, they're a little afraid of you. You show up at their office an expert and highly motivated about some issue. They, for the most part, are generalists, and they're very concerned about looking stupid or uninformed. So if you kind of take that into consideration, that you're a specialist and they want to accommodate you, they want to understand what you're talking about, but be careful of jargon, be careful of passion. Particularly if it's the first time they're hearing about an issue, you want to, if you can, make them your friend. You want to become a referent to them. You want to become someone that can give them information in the future. There's a natural desire on their part not to seem uninformed. I think prepare yourself for the meeting. I was the appropriation chairman for 8 years, so I did the state budget for the Senate, and I was surprised at how many people walked in the door and had no idea who I was. If you're going to be persuasive with somebody, particularly in the age of AI and the internet, you should know a little bit about who that man or woman is that you're going to go meet. Are they fishermen? Do they have 5 kids? Did they get arrested for a DUI 2 weeks ago? I mean, whatever information there is about them, if you can personalize your relationship with them in the 15 or 20 minutes you get with them, you're going to get a lot further because you want to get everybody you can rowing in the same direction. Think through your issue before you get there. Sometimes, I've had people come to me and kind of just vomit out, a whole, 45 minutes of information without taking a breath and without paying any attention to whether I was understanding what they were talking about. So, when you're meeting with an elected official, unlike a regulator or unlike a specialist or unlike a company official, you're talking to a generalist. So, if you want them to convene public hearings about the pipeline that might come in, if you want them to host a series of safety seminars for residents to make sure they're comfortable, understand what it is you're going to ask them for and work toward that idea. Know what you want. Avoid confrontation. Don't disagree with them. For the most part, it's because they don't understand what you're talking about yet. Give them a little time to take a breath. People change their minds, but they only change their minds in non-confrontational situations, in my experience. I think, for the most part, elected officials are much more approachable in their offices, if they have one, rather than in the state capitol, if you're talking about a state legislator, or trying to grab somebody at the city council meeting when they're trying to do their official duties. See if you can meet them at a time where they're comfortable and where they have time to listen to you. I've always told people that work the General Assembly, in legislative offices, Illinois legislators were far more persuadable, and they had an opportunity to learn. When people would come to meet with me down in Springfield, and I took all the meetings that people wanted, I was under time crunch to be called to the floor, to be called to the Senate President's office, to go to meetings. So I had maybe 10, 12, 15 minutes, and by the time you get through the pleasantries, there's not a lot of time to impart information. Where if you can get an appointment with them at their district office, if they have one, or if they'll meet you for coffee if they don't have an office, you can, in a relaxed atmosphere, share your concerns and kind of point out the things that you'd like them to consider doing. People listen to their friends. They listen to people they know. So if you can, don't make your first ask be the first time you meet somebody. I used to tell people, if you really want to get somewhere with a legislator, drop off donuts at their office, say, "Hi, I'm Marilyn. I work with a group that's very concerned about the environment. I just want to meet you folks. I'm going to call you in the next couple of weeks, see if I can get an appointment with your boss. A box of donuts, some bagels, yes?
Would the donut be considered, the box of donuts be considered a gift, though?
Well, it depends. It depends on what state you're in. In all the states except Wisconsin, I think you can deliver donuts. If you live in Wisconsin, I wouldn't deliver a donut. And actually, if you do have a box of donuts, they'll tell you if they can't take them. You can say you'll drop them off at the homeless shelter for them. Understand that staff are the gatekeepers. The most effective lobbyist I ever saw down in Springfield ordered 60 boxes of chocolates. I don't know if you know what Fannie Mae is, but it's kind of the Illinois version of See's candies. And he had 61-pound boxes. He went around to every Senate office and gave it to the secretary that did the appointments for the legislators, and went back a week later to get appointments. He got a lot of appointments. It's thinking about their challenges from their point of view. Many times the staff are just as nervous about a passionate constituent as the member is. So keep that in mind when you meet with them. If you can joke with them, if you can be friendly, if you can say, I'm flexible, I just want to meet you, I want to come back someday, you'll get further with staff. And in some cases, if they have substantive staff that does issue work, a meeting with staff can be just as effective as meeting with the member, or it may be the necessary preliminary. So, don't reject those. If they say the chief of staff will meet with you or the staff person will meet with you, that's good too. Resonating on these issues, having people talk to them about issues that are maybe in the paper or that they know are going on strengthens the effectiveness of the message. The first time will probably be the hardest if you decide to call on some elected official, but you may be surprised you enjoy it. They're much more approachable. In my experience, in more than 20 years of flying around, I was in 15 state capitals this year working on issues related to the financial services industry. Almost overwhelmingly, 98% of the cases, legislators are trying to do the right things. Elected officials are trying to do the right things. Their problem is they really have very limited time and limited resources to understand complex issues. So you need to take the expertise and your passion and deliver it in a way that they can take it. And I think you'll have a lot of success. But we'll get you back on schedule. Everybody had a quick stretch. We'll have something substantive and interesting now. Thanks for letting me talk.